In 1895, that's about 130 years ago, a German scientist named Röntgen made a discovery that he could expose photographic paper to emissions from a glass tube, and it went straight through human flesh and formed an image. It was astonishing, interesting, and he reported it, and the entire world went batshit crazy, completely bananas. I want to tell this story and a few other stories that go alongside it because we all think that we're just doing all this for the first time, and we are not. History is not some boring subject from school. History is what people have done and how they have discovered that things actually work. History tells us about the stupid, idiotic mistakes that people make, especially when they're up against phenomena that they don't understand, like X-rays. History explains to us all the things that we need to know so that we don't repeat the idiotic mistakes that we've made before. However, that's not working right now because the velocity of stupid that is coming out of Silicon Valley right now exceeds measured debate and actual rigor around what things actually are capable of. It's much better to make some explosive and ridiculous overinflated claim and get yourself a whole lot of investor money. So what happened with Röntgen? He took a device called a Crookes tube that had actually been invented by scientists about 30-40 years ago to investigate phenomena of invisible rays. We already understood the visible spectrum of light, the part that the human eye can see, and then above that, below that, we've got different lengths of light. Now, these high energy but invisible rays could be seen to impact and cause things to fluoresce, that is, they give off light when they struck it. So there was, could coat a plate with something, or in the case of these Crookes tubes, you could make a little portal in the end and shine out the beams that were excited by the electrical impulses that were being passed between an anode and a cathode in the tube, and we would get a passage of some kind of particle or wave, and we could see the evidence of it. We couldn't see what it was actually doing, but we could see the results. In the case of Röntgen, it was the image of the hand on the photographic plate. Now, why did everybody go crazy? Well, because of the image. He gave it to science journals, but it also went to newspapers who published it. And people were saying things like, oh my God, I'm going to be on the London Tube, which had just been built around the same time. That's the train that goes underground. I'll be sitting on that with no way of getting off, and there'll be some guy over there with a Röntgen machine looking through my clothing. I'll need to wear lead underwear. There'll be banks. Robbers will look through the walls of the bank using Röntgen rays, and they'll see the combination lock. Nothing will be safe. Privacy is gone. The world is ending. It's all complete in collapse. And of course, the gleeful people making ridiculous claims, they were getting their stuff published. And there was actually genuine science involved where these rays had actual application. Thomas Edison, the American inventor and scientist, he, among lots of other people, discovered that you didn't need to just use photographic paper. He built the fluoroscope, which is much more common sort of portable X-ray machine, semi-portable. And around the same time, you had Marie Curie, the Polish French, I think, scientist, and her husband, who worked to discover polonium and radium, two substances that can be manufactured from pitch, which is like a heavy black substance that occurs naturally, and take that stuff and with a laborious process produce radium salt that would actually naturally decay and produce radiation all by themselves, just sitting there, no electrical excitation required. But all of this stuff was incredibly harmful. And we found that people who were exposed to these X-rays, there was one instance where someone had an injury to their head, it was a child, and they put them in front of an X-ray machine for an hour to develop an image, and burned off half this kid's hair. And people were like, well, look, X-rays are amazing, they're incredible, are they good or are they bad? One side said they're good, one side said they're bad. Well, can't they be both? What we know now today, of course, is that X-rays are not some miracle. X-rays are just this thing that are used in hospitals. They're used to create diagnostic imaging for medical contexts. They're used in materials science. You know, you can X-ray some piece of building materials to see if it's decaying or safe or anything like that. It has actual applications, but it is not an insane miracle wonder technology. And yet, that's what everybody said. Why did they say it? Because they are excitable. What's worse is that the press repeated everything that was said, magnified it, and we had a situation where a guy called Ebenezer Byers, he was a wealthy American industrialist who was also a golf champion, and he had a broken arm. And around this time, subsequent to the research done by Marie Curie into radium, there was a similar complete hysteria around radium as a substance because it caused things to naturally fluoresce and glow. And of course, it's this visible glow, these visible effects. As soon as we see something with our own eyes, we project, we draw a line through it up and to the right, and we say, oh my God, it can do all of these incredible things. But your projection is not reality. And what Edwin Byers did was he took a substance that was sold by a snake oil salesman called Radithor, R-A-D-I-T-H-O-R, which was a made-up bullshit supposed medicine about which was proposed all sorts of crazy therapeutic benefits by the snake oil people selling this stuff. He took hundreds of doses of this stuff, thinking it was supposed to be good for him. And my condolences to the family of Mr. Byers. It was not his fault. He was a naive person who believed a lot of hype, and he died prematurely. He was an athlete by all accounts, being a golfer. However, he was struck down well before his prime because he decided to believe what people were saying about radium water. Now, radium does have valid applications. X-rays have valid applications. Maybe when they were inventing these therapeutic tools, they were saying, oh, well, it's not going to go away. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. X-rays are here to stay. You can't stop them. The knowledge is out there. Right? But Of course it's out there. Where are x-rays today? They're in the hospitals. Nobody cares about x-rays. Nobody's building an x-ray machine at home. No one has Crookes tubes sitting around that they play with at night and do whatever to look up people's skirts or look through to the neighbours' walls or anything like that. None of those things have happened. None of the things people said or predicted. It settled down and just became something that was behind the walls of hospitals, in therapeutic imaging suites, and the same with radium, used in sterilising food and whatever else. Now, my point about all this stuff is that ridiculous claims have been made for generative AI, large language models. When Google's DeepMind scientists first came out with their Scaling is All You Need paper, they pointed out that there were some interesting and unexpected effects. They found that when you scaled up, it seemed to follow instructions. Oh my God, how could this possibly be? How could you have a large language model turned into a chat bot with, a recurrent the usual pattern with chat bots, feeding in the context and so on? How could it actually follow instructions? That's mind-boggling. Well, could it possibly be that in the large body of language that you trained it on, there was actually some instructions? Yeah? Could it actually be that the problems you're asking it to solve, like mathematics problems, where a question is posited and the answer soon follows in the collection of documents that you trained it on, yeah? All of that stuff was there, and the next token predicting machine, that is the large language model, just did what it was designed to do. People looked at it. They projected. They looked at that and they said, oh my God, there's all this untapped well of incredible benefits. What is the large language model going to come out with next? Oh, it's incredible and amazing. We must use it for everything. We must give it to our 5-year-olds. Except kids are using this, becoming dependent on it, and committing suicide. And no one wants to regulate it. Well, plenty of people do, but the people that are building the thing and profiting off it, they don't want to regulate it. They want to keep building it without restraint, giving it to whoever they can without any barrier, selling it to government and telling them it can be used as a panacea for all of our ills. It's going to educate our kids. It's going to find a cure for cancer. Or maybe it's actually a cause of cancer. Maybe it's radium water all over again. Maybe our minds are going to rot. What's holding us up as a society today is our creators, our thinkers. And according to plenty of studies, it's causing that analytic power, the ability to create new thinking, to rot away. We don't have any investment. The self-efficacy for writing is dissolved by AI use. One common claim from folks who say that we should treat large language models and generative AI as though it's some fantastic new world-changing technology, and we should throw out the rule book with regards to regulation and the oversight of any kind, is that they say it's transformative in a way that no other technology has. It's bullshit. It's utter bullshit, and it's blind because the idiots that are saying things like this are ignorant of history, the kind of history that I've just related to you now. The transformation that happened in society because of medical imaging technologies, because of the automatic telephone exchange, the ability to dial someone's number and have it automatically transferred through to you by a system in a telephone exchange somewhere, instead of having people running around plugging in electrical cords to transmit the circuit, complete the circuit for the phone call. That invention of the telephone exchange, that really did transform society. Plenty of other things. Commercial aviation, obviously the internet, cellular telephony was, in my opinion, much bigger. The GSM system and GLONASS, which is used in other Soviet countries. These standardization efforts and the technologies that support them with the cell towers, that really did transform society. Like, they really are just a flash in the pan. I think in 10 years' time, we're going to look back at the idiotic overhyping of large language models, and the people that have hyped them will be scurrying away into the corners of the internet to hide their head in shame. And the reason it's harmful, not just because of the medical and therapeutic impacts of large language models on kids, the revenge porn, the fraud, the use of other people's work without paying for it, all of those things, is that it's sucked up capital and stifled innovation in so many other areas of science and technology. So, TLDR, regulate artificial intelligence, but especially generative artificial intelligence. Understand what the harms are, understand where the data is coming from, talk real talk about what it's been able to produce. They need to be regulated. All right, thank you for listening.